Live Fit Podcast, episode 125, Conscious Communications with Mary Shores.
I can easily look at a piece of food and I can say, if I put this inside my body, will it cleanse me or will it clog me? What I need to do is be constantly choosing cleansing choices, because the cleansing choices is what is going to connect me to my ultimate goal. It's like I just need someone to help get me started. You know, there's a term in chemistry, I think it's called activation energy, which is a principle that says it takes more energy to start a chain reaction than to keep one going.
Welcome to the Live Fit Podcast with Glenn Johnson, your resource for all things that contribute to good health. You will hear expert advice and interviews with leading authorities on fitness, food, fat loss, mindset, and the mind-body connection. You will find show notes, articles, and health programs at livefitpodcast.com.
Yes, it is time once again for the Live Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Johnson, your guide to better health. Today's guest is Mary Shores. Mary spends her career as an author, speaker, and an entrepreneur generating positive and pragmatic solutions for people who are freaking out. She helps them find conscious communications for a balanced life. Mary blends personal experience with her extensive knowledge of neuroscience and human behavior to guide businesses and individuals to defeat the freak out and create their ideal life. Let's hear how Mary does it.
Hi, Glenn. I am so happy and vibrant. How are you?
I am terrific. It's really good to talk to you. I'm going to just dive right in and ask you about your latest book, Conscious Communications. Can you give us an idea of what that's about and how it relates to my listeners?
Yeah, I sure can. I mean, imagine if you could be happy in your life just by being who you really are and be who you were meant to be. Imagine waking up every day and having your work and your values be aligned. And I think that this book is such a great roadmap of how to harness your inside power to really change your mind, your choices, and your life, and create literally any kind of connection in life that you want.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. And I'm still stuck at the first thing you said. What if you lived your life being your own person? In other words, not wanting to be somebody else.
I know, right? Because I think depending on what generation you came from, a lot of us grew up being taught that we had to recover from our weaknesses, or, we had to address the things that were wrong with us instead of feeding our strengths. And I think what a different world it would be if we were just constantly reinforcing the fact that we all have different skills, abilities, and talents, and that the best thing we can do for ourselves and for the world to make an impact is actually be always reinvesting back into those things that we're naturally talented at.
So de-emphasize your weaknesses and strengthen your strengths?
Absolutely.
Okay. Does that make for a balanced person?
A lot of people in my office do this thing called the one word. Have you heard of that, where you pick one word for your year?
No, tell me.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. It's a fun thing to do at the beginning of the year, but I don't think it has to be the beginning of the year to set an intention for yourself. So it's just one word. You choose a word that's going to be kind of like your check-in point for the year.
Okay.
And my business development director, her one word is balance.
Nice.
And so we've had all kinds of interesting conversations about balance and Megan is her name, but she is currently working full-time in a salaried position, and it's kind of a big position. I mean, she has a lot of responsibilities. And then she also decided to go back to school to get her MBA.
Oh boy.
So I know, right? And she not only is getting her MBA, but she's doing a special program where it gets over in 18 months. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And not only that, but the MBA that she's going for is in healthcare admin, which is...
It's pretty tough. There's a lot of things to remember.
Oh my goodness. I mean, healthcare admin is, I mean, it might as well be rocket science. Let's just face it.
A lot of codes to know.
A lot of stuff to
And
know.
yeah, these arbitrary words for positions and things and meanings that three of them sound alike, but they're all different.
Well, and what's interesting to me is that she chose the word balance.
Yes.
Because that's a lot going on, but she's also a person that's very active in her Rotary. As a matter of fact, she was sharing with me, she got some pin that takes people like an average of 9 years, and she got hers in 2 years.
Oh.
And she is definitely enjoys achieving things in her life. And so she's very active in Rotary. She's always planning events. And she also, I think, has a little bit of that, what we call FOMO now, fear of missing out. So if someone's having a party, she doesn't want to miss it. And I'm like, look, how is that balance? So I think that the one word thing was actually really good for her. And what I had her do was because she thinks I'm her mentor. I actually call myself the accidental mentor because.
You don't think you are?
I don't know. All these youngins, like, they think I'm their mentor. So I just get to tell them what to do, and they call that mentoring.
That's pretty flattering.
Yeah, I guess so.
It really is. They see you as wise and sage and somebody to look up to and emulate. Maybe not want to be you, but at least have some of your traits.
Well, so I told her to write a list of every single thing that she was doing, everything, and how much time she was spending each week on it. Just as an exercise, because I wanted to see what these hours, like I even said, I want to know how much time you're spending cleaning your house, how much time you're spending grocery shopping, how much time you're spending on social activities, how much time you're spending on homework, on work projects, everything. If you're walking the dog, put it on the list. Because let's really look at what balance looks like in your life. And what we came up with after she, obviously realized some things got to go. Because sometimes you got to live with the short-term squirm of like not having every single goal that you want, because what's a higher priority is maybe getting the homework assignment done for your MBA that you're going to have for the rest of your life. So keeping your eye on that long-term return on investment, that long-term ROI is more important than the short-term squirm. But sure. I thought, because when she first said balance, I'll be honest, I thought that was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But what we really realized was balance is when you're spending your time and you're following a roadmap that is leading to an end result. So your balance is, let me focus on these things that are really important to me versus let me be pregnant with 17 things at once.
Right.
And when we looked at balance that way, it was easy for us to fit this into her life, because if we, there's another way we could have looked at balance. We could have said, you have to have 10 hours a week where you're meditating, or you're doing something that's counter to the work life.
But instead, you and she looked at closing some things so she didn't have all these open pots boiling.
Yeah, we looked at balance from the perspective of everything that we're doing is creating momentum towards a goal. And then at the same time, what self-care can be non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So like for myself right now, I have 5 non-negotiable hours of self-care per week.
Nice.
I could have said per year, and then you would have been like, I don't know, Mary, that's not that nice. But it's per week.
Yeah, I'd say whoop-de-doo. Who doesn't? Well, tell me about this one-page action plan for growth you have here.
So a one-page action plan is, I'm a planner. I'm a roadmap person. I just see the world through steps and processes, and I'm very pragmatic. I can take things and reverse engineer almost anything. So you can take whatever goal you want, and your show is fitness. So we were talking before the show. I was telling you a little bit about my little fitness and hiccup.
Right.
That's I'm going on with me right now. So I have some goals, and actually my one word for this year is heal.
Oh, very nice.
And heal means a lot of things to me. So it means like my weight. So I've got a weight goal. I've got a health goal. I'd really love to, I'm going to invest in that, one of those wellness companies where they take a bunch of your blood and measure all your biomarkers.
Oh, nice.
And then they set you up with an appointment to where you can consult with a specialist how you can get your biomarkers to optimal levels. So this is really good for like high performance athletes and stuff like that. The company's called Wellness FX.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one called Inside Tracker.
Well, and just for the sake of the listeners who weren't privy to our previous conversation, you were kind of an exercise fanatic, working out twice a day, morning and evening, and then your life got really busy and you had to stop. And then you had to make peace with not exercising so often and still figure out how you were going to stay fit. Can you kind of fill us in on how you found your peace with that and what you did?
I'll explain all that as part of explaining the action plan.
Okay.
So when you do this action plan, what you need to do is you put your end result goal at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so for mine, that's going to be heal. And then I need to ask myself the question, what are 6 things that need to be true in order to reach that end result? And so here's where I'm going to take a look at, because if you set yourself up to fail, if you just decide, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to lose 30 pounds or I want to, get fit or buff or whatever the kids say these days, without really having a plan and actually looking at your individual needs. So if you and I were doing this identical action plan, we would still have different things. So for me, in order to heal, I needed to look at my life in a way and say, what is it that I need? So part of it is that health goal. So like what you were alluding to, I was an absolute, like, for example, my password to everything in life was gym rat. Like gym rat combined with like my phone number.
Right.
Because I just lived at the gym. I loved being at the gym. I loved fitness. I loved group fitness. I love the way that the endorphins feel at the end of the day. And I honestly, there's been times in my life where I credit my very survival to the fact that I was exercising, because I went through this divorce that was earth shattering. And I know everyone believes that their divorce is earth shattering. But mine was something that almost literally killed me. And
wow.
I was unfunctionable. I was unfunctionable for a period of 2 years. So I've got some significant heartbreak from that, which is also one of the things that is involved in my healing. Mm-hmm. But I lived this lifestyle that I became very dependent on. And I was also running my business. I'm a CEO of a collection agency, and that is a full-time job. Plus I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I have like rental properties and I have another side business and I have investments, so I've always got a lot of things, like a lot of chess pieces on the table that I need to be manipulating. And on top of that, I have 2 children, and one of my children is on the spectrum. So he's special needs, which just takes a different level of energy to raise a special needs child. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to a certain age, I didn't understand the effects that all this stress had on my body for years and years, because trauma truly does build up in your body. And that's why they say that saying, the issues are in the tissues, right? Because it gets stored in there. And I think that that's the reason I was able to survive my divorce, is because all that, especially the cardio kickboxing, I was so good at it that like one night I was out with friends and I was like on this dance floor doing some kickboxing moves, and there just happened to be a guy in the room that was a recruiter for UFC, and he actually walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to audition. Oh, it was the funniest thing ever, because like if you hit me, I would fall on the floor and cry. So I mean, I could audition for West Side Story. But not UFC. You catch my drift?
Yeah.
Like this is choreographed. So there needs to be a certain song playing, and I have to keep a certain beat to keep up my cardio kickboxing. But anyway, so it's like I couldn't understand why I would just go through life with this dependency and feeling so good from exercise and all the happiness that was supplying me, and then all of a sudden stop. But when I looked at my life, what was happening is I was accumulating some other health problems that I was ignoring. So I was starting to, at 38, I was starting to feel the beginning effects of like some hormonal changes that females go through. And on top of that, also with the decades of stress, there was some adrenal burnout going on.
Sure.
But I didn't understand that. So I just kept plugging through till it got to the point where I would like raise my arm up to do like a hook, and it would feel like I was moving my arm through water. And when I was walking, it felt like I was walking through mud. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I was clearly in an unhealthy state.
Yeah.
And so I had no choice, because I was getting at the end of a workout and feeling like I was going to fall on the floor. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that there was some issues going on. So going back to this action plan, one of the things that I need to do is I cannot step back into hardcore exercise. So one of the things is I need to be in optimal health, right? So one of the, like, I'm asking myself, what are 6 things that need to be true? I need to be in optimal health, which means I have to have, I need to enter into a diet, a health, like seeing my food as fuel, and what can I eliminate? So one of the first things was I needed to eliminate sugar.
We are speaking with Mary Shores about having conscious communications with yourself for balance and vitality. LiveFit offers weight loss, health improvement plans, and health coaching. Learn more at livefitpodcast.com.
So, that can go on the action plan. That can be one of the bullets. It's like eliminate sugar, eliminate dairy, go on a food elimination diet that's also going to be healthy for anti-inflammation and inflammation. Mm-hmm. So that was there. But there's also things like making sure that my hormones and my adrenals are in check. Then there's also things like my heartbreak. Like, what am I doing to take care of the emotional traumas that I've been through? Because that's all part of it. So once you have your 6 things that you really, really need to be true in order to get that end result, then you take each one of those bullet points and you create 3 action items for each bullet point. Mm-hmm. So I'll start with the healthy food. So I decided to go on Whole30. So the first, like, an action plan would look like food prep. Make sure you understand the diet. So, research, educate myself, the food prep, and then like following through. Like, what is my plan to follow through? So just creating 3 action statements for that one bullet point of my food intake. And then the next one is like, okay, what is my action? What are my 3 statements for, say, exercise? Well, I know I can't go right back into the hardcore fitness, but can I start a once a week yoga class? Can I walk? Can I have a gradual stair-step program where I am increasing my activity in a way that I can handle it, that's not going to cause me to flare up my adrenals?
Right.
Another problem with that is I was constantly downing those energy drinks.
Oh, no.
I didn't know. I thought, because they were selling them at the gym. I thought that meant they were good for me. See how that trickaroo happens?
Yep. Well, they have amino acids in them, so hey.
Well, my buddy told me not to drink those, and I should have listened to him, because they were causing me when I was in my earlier 30s, they weren't causing me problems. Mm-hmm. But when I got, 38, 40, 42, they just started, I didn't realize that they were part of the source of the problem. Well, anyway, so that's how you do the action plan. So you just go through each one of those bullets and you identify 3 actual action items, and then you do that for all 6. And at the end, you have a 1-page action plan. And what's interesting is, we use the example of health, but I use this for everything in my business and my personal life. And it becomes a very easy planning tool that you can create a roadmap to whatever you want. I mean, if you want to get into a relationship or you want to move, you would have bullet points like, I need to hire a realtor. I need to put my house for sale. Maybe I need to have an interior decorator come in and stage my home. Whatever the goal is, you start at the end and you reverse engineer yourself a plan.
Yeah, that's very much like the stepping goals that I use. I tell people when you want to reach a goal, you need to take incremental steps to get there. And it's like walking up the stairs to the second floor of your house. You don't just jump up there, you take one step at a time. And that, if that was, I don't know, losing weight, you might want to focus on losing 5 pounds and then the next 5 and the next 5. If it's, buying a house, you might want to focus on saving $100, then another $100, something like that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Tell me about your cleanse or clog section in your book.
That is chapter 5 is called To Cleanse or Clog, That is the Question. In chapter 5, it's actually my favorite chapter of the whole book. Because I feel like it captures the essence of the entire book. And it's actually the reason I got my book deal as well. Because when you submit for a book deal, you turn in a sample chapter, and that's the chapter I turned in.
Nice.
Well, anyway, I think that we're living in a time period, and we're in a space where we really believe that infinite possibilities exist for our lives, and that we're truly, like I said in the beginning of the show, like imagine a world where you are the person in control of your life and you're not held by these constraints of what everyone else has told you that you should be, but that you're really in control of becoming the person that you're meant to be. And I feel like whenever I hear the terminology like infinite possibilities, a lot of times I can make the assumption that means I'm going to reach my highest potential. But there's a big difference, because infinite possibilities means that anything could happen. So like with my current health plan, if I follow that, then I'm going to have success. I'm going to make that possibility a probability. But if I cheat every day, then really my circumstances are probably going to get worse. So the possibilities is really a huge spectrum of anything that could happen. And so cleanse or clog is just this easy way so you can check in, because what we need to understand is that everything we say, everything we do, every word that comes out of our mouth, every choice that we make in the thinnest sliced moments of life is either creating a deeper connection to what we want, or it's driving a disconnection. And so how you apply this is like, just let's take, my word heal, that I am doing Whole30 right now, and I can easily look at a piece of food, and I can look at this piece of food and I can say, if I put this inside my body, will it cleanse me or will it clog me?
And so there we go.
If I'm looking at like an apple, I mean, I guess if you're keto, you don't want to eat apples, but I'm doing Whole30. You can eat apples. So if I'm looking at an apple, I know that the nutrients inside of an apple are going to cleanse me. But if it's 3:00 and I'm looking at a Snickers bar or a muffin or I don't know, what's something I really love, like chocolate Ghirardelli salted caramel. It's my favorite. I know that's going to clog me. And so the thing is, that what I need to do is be constantly choosing cleansing choices, because the cleansing choices is what is going to connect me to my ultimate goal, which is to get healthy.
Now, Mary, I am pretty sure I understand what you mean by clog, but can you go into that in a little more explanation?
Sure. So using the example of food again, if and every time I put something in my mouth, I'm making a choice, and it's either a choice that's going to cleanse me or clog me. So if I'm eating, say, a salad for lunch that has healthy olive oil and vinegar on it as dressing, and the contents of the salad are, leafy greens, tomato, avocado, and maybe some walnuts, versus if I go to Burger King and get a Whopper. Everything inside of that Whopper, the nutrients, the sodium, the fake food, the everything that's inside that Whopper or that Big Mac or that milkshake or whatever is actually toxins, and it's going to clog me. That food is known to be full of sugar, full of carbs, just full of everything that is clogging my body, and that my body was not actually meant to process those things. Versus if I eat whole natural foods, provided by the earth, like apples and greens and if you're a meat eater, then certain meat, then that's cleansing your body.
Right. And is this something somebody's going to feel immediately or down the road?
Well, I have this other part of it that there's this 80/20 rule, because I think that sometimes we strive for perfection, and then that actually ends up being a clogger because we can't keep up that level of perfection all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I generally say is that if 80% of the time you're choosing cleansing connected choices, then after a period of time of about 45 days, you'll start to notice real difference. And by the way, this doesn't just count in your diet and exercise, but like it's everything you do. So imagine in your relationship with your significant other that everything you say, everything you do, every word that comes out of your mouth is either cleansing that relationship or creating a deeper connection, or it's clogging that relationship and driving a disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, 80% of the time in that relationship, if you're making cleansing connected choices, you're going to have a great relationship, because the person will forgive you for the other 20% of time. And it also works with like your career goals or your financial, how are you cleansing or clogging your finances? And so it just becomes really easy if you control the circumstances in your life by this lens of either cleansing or clogging.
Okay. Now, I noticed you have a chapter called 5 Reasons You're Stuck and How to Fix It. And I'm wondering if that is something that you used when you fell out of a regular gym activity, your life got busy, and you wanted to figure out how to maintain your fitness. Is there a relationship there, or how did you get yourself back to a place where you weren't going to fall out of shape?
I was thinking when I wrote that, I was really thinking about why is it that there's times in our life that we have a goal and we can envision the goal, we can see it happening, we've thought it through, we know that the steps, we have a plan, we have a desire, we've researched it, we know that it will work, but then we find ourselves beginning to procrastinate.
Yes, why is that?
I'll go tomorrow, or I'll do it tomorrow. So there's several reasons that I've uncovered that keep us stuck. One is that we're overwhelmed. So when you get into a place of overwhelmed because you're doing too many things or your plate is too full, what it's going to do is it's going to cause a feeling of procrastination. And that's a very dangerous place, because procrastination that comes from overwhelm leads to this cycle of you start to goof off. So maybe you need to feel better because your brain is just dipped in its level of dopamine and serotonin. So you might go on YouTube and waste a bunch of time like watching a video with a kitten in a tutu or something. And then that moment, like what it does is it causes dopamine to flood your brain where you temporarily and instantly feel better. But then later on in the day, you go back to another procrastination crash, because what happens is then you start to feel guilty because you wasted the day watching kitten videos playing in their tutus. So that's one reason. And like, there's a way to interrupt that cycle. But another reason you might be stuck, and I think this is one that was true for me, sometimes I want to do something, but I literally just don't know the first steps. It's like I just need someone to help get me started. There's a term in chemistry, I think it's called activation energy, which is a principle that says it takes more energy to start a chain reaction than to keep one going.
Yes.
And so I think one of the things that keeps us stuck is just needing help in those first few steps, getting that routine done, having someone else show us how to do it.
Right. There's also another saying I've heard: the hardest part about working out is putting on your tennis shoes.
I love that.
Yeah, that was Joe LaPrinzi. And if anybody's ever ridden a bicycle or maybe pushed a car or something like that, you realize that it is harder to get it moving than it is to keep it moving. And that's one of my words of caution for people who are going, they're in a good place. I say it's way, way, way easier to maintain than it is to try to get fit again or get started again if you take a break.
Oh my gosh. See, and I'm somebody who's currently, trying to work myself out of a break. And I would say that is so true.
One of my tips I give for people who are in that position, and it's been me too, so I'm not immune to this stuff, is just do a little something, anything. If you're not accustomed to taking a walk, that is way better than sitting in a chair. It may not be as good as sweating it out at the gym for an hour, but it's getting you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's great advice, and it's also a lot less overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's less overwhelming than to think like, oh, I have to be at the gym at a certain time because this class is starting, or I have these certain goals, or it's leg day. But I appreciate you saying that, because like I said, in my action plan, I know that I have to start with things that my body can handle and work my way up from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice. Mary, if you wanted to leave a parting shot for our listeners right now, what one piece of advice or, your sage wisdom that you've gathered from being everybody's mentor would you leave for them?
Well, I love to say that awareness of your choices is the keys to your freedom. And what I mean by that, again, is like, we're always the one choosing. We are in complete control of the outcomes we create in our life.
I love it. That's fantastic. All right, Mary, how can people get a hold of you and find your book?
So, if you resonate with me at all on this show, my big ask is if you go on Amazon and you check out Conscious Communications by Mary Shores, you can just read the description. You'll know right away if the book resonates with you. You can read some of the reviews. There's lots of reviews posted, and that's a great way to connect with the book. If you want to find me, I am so easy to find on social media, either through my page, Mary Shores, my website, maryshores.com. So that's SHORES. And also I have a Facebook group called Fearless Ambition, where I put a lot of daily prompts, do videos, and lots of fun stuff. Any giveaways that I've got going on, always go in Fearless Ambition first. And of course, you can check the website. There's tons of free stuff on the website as well.
All right. Well, that is fantastic stuff. I hope everybody takes a look at your book and sees if it's something that will help them. And, trying to make everybody as healthy and happy as can be. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to